We have to learn to let go and allow life to happen through us without any judgments, without any preconceived notions, just allowing life to be what it is.
We choose between the left and right, the ups and downs, the darkness or the light. We're finding who we are.
There's only one reform in life. When you and I stop living from our heads, you and I are here for one very solid reason, and that is to learn to be loving.
We're finding our way together, just you and me.
Namaste. Welcome to our program. We're going to be working here at this construction site on one of the most beautiful and powerful elements of our life, the art of work.
The Prophet. Of this most famous and treasured of all his works, Gibran has said, "While I was writing the Prophet was writing me." Born in Lebanon in 1883, the man who would become a famous poet, philosopher, and artist was exiled from his homeland for speaking out against the Turkish Empire. He studied art in Paris, then settled in New York City, where he remained until his death at age 48. But the Prophet lives on. Over the years, it has touched the lives of millions, a testament to the insight and wisdom of the man, Kahlil Gibran, who was never wholly and entirely of this world.
Then a plowman said, "Speak to us of work." And he answered, saying, "You work that you may keep pace with the earth and the soul of the earth. For to be idle is to become a stranger unto the seasons, and to step out of life's procession that marches in majesty and proud submission towards the infinite."
Welcome to our program. We're going to be looking at the insight of work as Gibran talks about it. And we decided to be here at a construction site. Workers building work for other people. And it's kind of an interesting atmosphere to see people working and doing their thing. And you have to wonder how many of these people love what it is that they're doing. I read a statistic to help you with this program. Interesting thing. Let me kind of give it to you. Each American in this country works an average of over 40 hours a week. And 80% of us, according to this statistic, do not like their jobs. We don't like our occupations, what we do for a living. So the other third of our life, which we spend asleep, means that we don't spend a great deal of time doing anything we love. We sleep another third, and the other third of our life, I wonder what we do with that. Maybe we use that as an escape to get away from our work. Begin to think about it within your life. How do you feel about your work? What is work anyway? Is work something that we do to occupy us so we earn a living? A lot of people only work because of money. And if we only work because of the money that we make, we're not understanding what real work is. Real work is a sacredness. And if we really practice our work and understand it, it is love passing through us. Our love passing through us. And that makes work very, very important. It seems like in this country we have an odd sense about work. We spend a great deal of time efforting in our work, doing things, working at things, but not really loving our things that we are doing. And then there's another thing that we do about work, which is kind of weird, is that we spend a great deal of time working, so we don't have to work anymore. And most people, according again to a statistic, die at the age of 65 right after they work, especially men. Why? Because we don't know what to do with our life after work. We hate to work, and yet we hate not to work. We're caught in a terrible dilemma about life. And I wonder how many of us understand that work is supposed to be something spiritual. It doesn't mean you have to be a priest or a minister or anything like that. It doesn't matter what you do for a living, quote unquote. It matters what you do in your heart. If what I do is for a living, then my effort is a curse. If what I do is the living that makes work, my effort becomes a blessing. And there's a vast difference. Most people work to earn a living instead of live just to work. I wonder how many of us live to work. No, I don't mean as some sort of obsession. I'm talking about as a gift. That you are so excited when you wake up in the morning to go to work because love is passing through you, that you find an excitement about your work. There is a zeal within your work. Let me read to you what Gibran had to say about work. Very important insight here. He said, "Always you have been told that work is a curse and labor a misfortune." That's what we've been told. But Gibran says, "But I say to you that when you work, you fulfill a part of the earth's furthest dream assigned to you when that dream was born. And in keeping yourself with labor, you are in truth loving life." And then he goes further. He says, "And to love life through labor is to be intimate with life's innermost secret." Very powerful teaching. To be intimate with life's innermost secret. Wow. And what is the secret of life? The secret of life is real simple. Everything that we do is a prayer. And to be intimate with life is to, again, let love pass through us. I want you to stop a moment. Are you one of the 80% of most Americans who hates what it is that they do when you work, what you do for a living? And do you think that what you do earns you a living? Do you hate your work so much that you begrudge working? And do you ever notice that the people who begrudge their work also dispel a poison inside of everything that they do, and everything becomes a grudge? I know a secret to life that will help you become very intimate with yourself, with work and life. It's a secret that many people talk about who love their work and find great insight and gratification in. And that is that they say they would do their job for free, but they're getting paid for it, and they're having so much fun they can't believe they're getting paid for doing what it is they love to do. That is life's innermost secret. To love what you do and to want to do it for free. It wouldn't matter if you got paid. You just love to do it. And it's interesting, when you and I let love pass through us, the miracle occurs. Because all of a sudden, it isn't work anymore as labor. It isn't a misfortune to us anymore. It is a blessing. Here at this construction site, as we look at all the men that are working, I wonder how many of them know what they're doing. They're entering into life's innermost secret. They're doing something very spiritual, very, very deep. If they do it with love, this building will be a blessing for many people to do their work in, something that they love to do. Their work makes it possible for other people to work. And that's all of us being together, utilizing each other, and finding a harmony within each other's effort. Don't go away. I'm going to be right back with more on work. It is my feeling that all work, no matter what it is that we do, should be a work of art. Just a work of art. And it doesn't matter what we do, from building buildings like this to trash collecting even. Everything that we do should be an art. But we have lost the art of work in our culture and in our society. To us, work is not an art, and it isn't even to be considered that. The whole idea when we are training children, for instance, to go to school and get an education, is for them to get an education in something that will make them the most amount of money. The myth works this way. We teach our children that if you go out and earn a lot of money, you'll have a good life for yourself. The myth is in the money. The work does not have to be something that is love made visible. The love, we think, happens when we get the money as a reward. Therefore, our work in this Western culture has lost its art. All work should be an art, and there isn't one occupation in life, from a person who collects trash to a person who is an executive of a IBM or President of the United States, that should not live their work as an art. Everyone is needed, and all jobs are useful. But the problem comes with us in money, because we are looking for the reward in our work rather than just the work itself being the reward itself, love made visible. Work is love made visible. And if one practices the art of that and catches the spirit of it, our work becomes so deeply important. I don't know where we went wrong. I guess it was in the money, our greed, wanting more than what is, and not really being in tune with ourselves. The question always arises then, how do I know what it is that I'm doing is right for me? Well, you got to know yourself. Spend time knowing yourself. We spend time educating ourselves, but never knowing ourselves. We educate ourselves for jobs and don't know who we are in educating ourselves for that job. A lot of people don't need to be president of the world. A lot of people don't need to be artists and painters. A lot of people need to be dancers and cooks and maybe poets. I don't know. I think everybody's got a beautiful gift to give their life through their work, the spirit of their work. And if we emphasize the spirit of our work as much as we emphasize the monetary end of our work, our culture would be very different than what it is. We all complain about this culture that we live in, this I, me, my society that we're in, and yet none of us seem to do very much about it. We continue to tell our children, and we continue to live as individuals, in the idea that what we have is more important than who we are. When we begin to really touch the spiritual part of us, when we get to the core of ourselves spiritually, a lot of things begin to change. And we can no longer work without putting spirit into our work and love into our work. Let me go back to Gibran for a moment. I want to share with you one of the insights that he gave to us on work. This is a powerful teaching. Again, you have to understand, Gibran's teachings are not for people who are logical. Gibran's teachings are for people who are awakening within themselves. Listen to what he says on the subject. And what is it to work with love, he says? It is to weave the cloth with threads drawn from your heart, even as if your beloved were to wear that cloth. It is to build a house with affection, even as if your beloved were to dwell in that house. This is wonderful stuff. It is to sow seeds with tenderness and reap the harvest with joy, even as if your beloved were to eat the fruit. It is to charge all things you fashion with a breath of your own spirit. Powerful, powerful. In other words, we're here to build these buildings. For instance, here I am standing underneath a building. And if this building were constructed just perfectly, without any love in it, it would just be a building. There are many people who just build things or do things out of a mechanical behaviorism, just to get things done for profit. Therefore, yes, they build buildings, but there's something lacking in the building. There's something lacking in the art of the building. It's like playing the piano and hitting the notes precisely, but there's no music behind the notes. And that's what our work is like. You can do your work precisely, but if there is no spirit or love behind what you do, where's the profit? You might be able to take some profit to the bank, but you'll never take the profit where it really counts, in your heart. Work is love made visible. Gibran is so wise, I would say totally enlightened on this, and you and I can learn a great deal from this. Remember, if what we do isn't what we love to do, then we don't know who we are, and we need to get in contact with that. Work is prayer and life and love made visible. It's a very important part of our life. I'll be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back. I want to redefine the whole idea of prosperity. The old metaphysical definition of prosperity, like many other definitions, is how much money you have or how much you make. But I want to redefine prosperity. Prosperity is not how much money you make or how much money you have. Prosperity is how well do you know yourself? How deeply can you be in love with what it is that you do, no matter what you do? Again, I want to reiterate something to you. It does not matter what you do for a living. It does not matter what your occupation is, what name it is, or what is given to it. Whether you drive a truck, fly an airplane, work in gardens, or you're President of the United States, it doesn't matter. all occupations are very noble things when love is involved in them. It is when love is involved that nobility arises. If we only understood this in our country today, we would be a much more prosperous country, because we would give integrity to the person who is working. We would teach them to bring their love and their art into their work. And believe it or not, love and art are very, very important in everything that we do. It's the one element that I see missing in our country today. Let me read to you something again from Gibran. He gives us the ultimate how-to in our own spiritual outworking of love. He said, "Work is love made visible. And if you cannot work with love, but only with distaste, it is better that you should leave your work and sit at the gate of the temple and take alms of those who work with joy. If, for instance, you bake a bread with indifference, you bake a bitter bread that feeds but half a man's hunger. And if you grudge the crushing of grapes, your grudge distills a poison in the wine." Very important insight. What he's really saying to us is, your motives make your work. And if you don't love whatever it is that you do, you need to stop. So let me give you some how-tos, and please listen to me on this. What I'm about to say is really very important as far as our work is concerned in our life. Because if 1/3 of our life or more is spent in working, then it should be more than just an occupation to make money. It should be a presence that we have in ourselves. So listen. First thing, very important, begin to know who you are. In our culture today, we read magazines to find out who we are. We read magazines to find out what we should wear, how we should smell, what we should be driving, and where we should be seen. Drop all that. Begin to find out who you are. Spend some time in meditation. Begin to take some deeper looks inside of yourself, more objective looks, less critical looks. Loving looks inside, a glance. Just in a glance you will see who you are, and then you will know what to do with your life and who you are. The second thing, very important also, follow your heart. No matter how unprofitable your head thinks your heart is. Our heads will try to talk us out of everything that our heart wants us to do. It will call us a fool, an idiot, all sorts of things. You've got to learn about that still small voice that lives within you. And it does live within you. And if you're quiet, very quiet inside, you will hear the sound of one hand clapping. In hearing that sound, you will hear a voice that you have never heard before. In listening to that voice, follow it. Wherever it leads you, it is good, and you have to trust it. There are no greater words than that could ever be spoken. From there, you will know not only who you are, you will have found yourself inside of you, and then you will know what to do, like you have never been taught before. Then all of the skills and the trades that you have learned are just instruments and vehicles to help make your love come out. Love made visible. Now you build buildings, you wash clothes, you do your gardening, whatever you do around the house, whatever job you do, you find a nobility in that job and a beauty in that occupation because it's a part of you. It is your experience of life as you see yourself. And if there are people who can appreciate the beauty of your work, that's added unto you. But the major thing is that you bring an art to your work. You bring love to your work, and you've transformed it. And whether you know it or not, you've made a difference in yourself, and you've made a difference in us, the people around you. Because we're going to feel the love that you give to your work. You're going to inspire us. I may never say a word to you about it, but I will be inspired by the way you do it. The way you carry the bricks and the mortar, the way you bake your bread, the way you work with your simplicity and your life. Now, life has meaning and substance. And everything that we do becomes, again, a meditation and a prayer. That's the essence of work. It brings us closer and closer to the occupation of our heart. Thank you for letting me be with you. Namaste. Welcome back. Watching this program with you a little bit, I was beginning to wonder if many of you were concerned about your work in the form of making it a prayer, a meditation in your life. If statistics are right and 80% of us do hate our occupations, our job, then that means a major portion of our life is out of kilter. And I would be very, very concerned about that if I were you or if I were me and I was in a job I hated. Let me read you a question that somebody wrote us about on work. And this question came just recently. How do you know when you are doing your life's work? That's a real good question. My director gave the answer, and he gave it very well. He said, you know it's your life's work when you're having fun at it and you didn't want to be paid for it. You just have fun at what you do. You enjoy it. I agree with him. I don't know if any of us have a life's work. You know what I mean by life's work? I mean, this is like what God intended or life wanted you to do. I don't think I believe in that myself for my taste. I believe that all of us could do a lot of things, a lot more than what we are doing. I think everybody in the world is multi-talented. I think the thing that hangs us up is our head. We get in our head the idea that we can only do one thing, or we should only be doing one thing, or we limit ourselves to how we respect or disrespect ourselves. And if a person does not have great respect for themselves, consequently they don't think they have much to give. I think the major concern should be in our work is, how much do I have to offer? Am I enjoying it? Is it fun? And do I feel a sense of myself in my work? Do I get close to the person I am? Okay? Kind of think about that and be brave enough to make the changes that you might feel are necessary to change your life a little bit. Thank you for letting me be with you. Next week we're going to talk about reason and passion, where I disagree with Gibran. So be sure to tune in. Thanks for letting me be with you. Namaste.